I don't know where to start with what we've just watched. I'm literally speechless. That's the only thing I can say.
Do you think Ange is under serious pressure now, Kate?
Look, I've tried everything to defend this guy. I've really got behind him, but for me, no, he's got to go. He's got to go. I can't cope with those performances. There wasn't a single player on that pitch that looked like he was playing for the manager. It's not an isolated performance either. Crystal Palace was abysmal. And people hate it. There's this massive divide in the fan base. On our channel, we've always been very pro Ange Postecoglou because, keep sacking managers doesn't work. Tottenham are living proof of that. But at the same time, how long do you keep on with a manager that can't get any sort of consistency from their players? It's brilliant. Go out and beat Man City at the Etihad 4-0, but then go and lose to Bournemouth, to draw with Fulham, to struggle against Roma. His tactics are all wrong.
How do you weigh that up with the amount of injuries we've got, Kate?
Well, even the injuries, Van de Ven, I think his hamstrings are suffering for the tactics. Right. To be fair, his hamstrings, we all know he had trouble at Wolfsburg as well. So you have to sort of treat him with kid gloves. And I think this system's too difficult for him. Romero doesn't look like he's playing for Ange at all, whether that's because he's had his head turned, but he's not been anywhere near the player that we know he can be. Do you know what? There's you can try and blame it on injuries, but I've tried, I've tried everything possible to see the positive in this guy and say, look, no, we're better off sticking with it and seeing where it goes. But tonight, you just said about him, I watched him confronting the fans. That's a terrible sign for a manager to start doing that.
That's not good for the optics. Matt Richardson has said this in the comments. This team reminds me of Arsenal from yesteryear. The team who didn't like it up them. I feel we're the same. Actually, I agree. Certainly in the latter days of Wenger, in the first year or two of Arteta, that was exactly it. And what they managed to do was bring in some muscle. So they brought in Gabriel, they brought in Declan Rice eventually. They had Saliba come back from loan, and they brought in arseholes like Thomas Partey, and he is like obviously the worst of the worst, but in terms of people down the spine of the team who will fight first and then allow the team to play their game. And unfortunately, I have to say for Ange at this point, and this is the first time I said this, we do not have the players who can win these battles first to allow him to play the kind of football that he wants to play. And in the Premier League, if you do not win the fight, you will lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to see we've got no real leaders on that pitch, but we're not going to go out and spend 100 million on a Declan Rice. Let's be fair. Levy's never going to do that. And if he's paid 65 million for Solanke, who I rate very highly, but the wages for some of these players, Levy's never going to pay. And I feel absolutely devastated tonight. That's the only way I can describe it, because I really thought this guy was moving forwards, and even though we've had a couple of blips, but Maddison, he takes Maddison off again. He looked like the only one who could make something happen.
I agree. I don't understand why he keeps taking Madders off with 10 minutes to go. When if the ball's going to fall to someone outside the box on the left hand side, you would want it to be Maddison, wouldn't you? Can I just ask you, Kate? Can I just ask you, Kate, before I let you go? So you're kind of turning on Ange. Are there any managers you look at out there you're like, I think he's the one to come in and do a better job here?
The Bournemouth managers are doing well at Bournemouth, but I'm not sure he's fit for this. It's difficult. A lot of people say Graham Potter because he's more of a project manager. He's not. I think he's going to be announced.
I think he's going to be announced as West Ham's new manager tomorrow.
So do I. He's not somebody I particularly like. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is, as much as I like Ange, I love his philosophy. I just don't think it works in the Premier League. I think it's too gung-ho. And it's terrible, and it's going to make me extremely unpopular with the Australian fans. But I've tried my hardest to buy into it, and tonight it's just enough's enough for me.
All right, Kate, thanks so much. Listen, and I just saw your private chat. Basically, what happened was your window disappeared, so I didn't know you were on. I thought you weren't there. So I did mean to bring you on first, so I'm so sorry about that. But next time, don't worry.
No problem.
check that the windows are there. Thanks so much for talking, Kate, and try and
Thanks,
enjoy the rest
Barnaby.
of your night.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye.